In a world where anxiety and fear seem to have woven themselves into the very fabric of our daily existence, imagine discovering a well of ancient wisdom that has been guiding people for centuries, offering not just lofty ideas, but practical, proven tools to overcome those very fears that so often hold us hostage. Today, we turn our focus to the life and teachings of Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers in history, a man who began his life in bondage as a slave, yet rose, through hardship, to become a respected and influential thinker whose words still echo across time. His personal journey from oppression to philosophical greatness, coupled with the enduring principles of Stoicism, carries the power to completely transform the way you perceive your struggles and to help you dismantle the invisible chains of fear that have kept you from living freely. In this exploration, we will uncover 5 life-changing lessons from Epictetus' insights that can release you from the suffocating grip of irrational fears and guide you toward a life defined by resilience, clarity, and inner peace. And if you appreciate the value of what we're doing here, I will ask a small favor of you. Take a moment to subscribe, and please resist the urge to skip ahead, because each part of this journey holds an essential key to the transformation you seek. Fear is not a rare or distant thing. It is an experience that touches every human life. It can feel overwhelming, crippling, and at times all-consuming. But what if you learned that much of what you fear is not actually grounded in reality, but in irrational thoughts, false assumptions, and emotional illusions? Epictetus firmly believed that the highest purpose of philosophy is to respond to the deep cry of the soul, to help us understand the roots of our suffering, and to guide us toward freedom from grief and fear. When we look closely at the fears that torment us, we often find they are built on shaky foundations. Take, for example, the fear of losing your job. On the surface, it may appear simple. No one wants to be unemployed, but a deeper examination reveals that the real fear is often about something else entirely. The dread of how others will see you, the humiliation of being judged, the sting of being labeled a failure in the eyes of society. This is exactly what Epictetus meant when he encouraged us to rationalize our fears, to strip them down to their true essence and see if they actually hold any real threat. By realizing that our fear of unemployment is often just a fear of social judgment, we can begin to weaken its hold over us. Epictetus also observed that many of our fears are not about survival at all, but about losing possessions, comforts, and external markers of status to which we have grown attached. In the Stoic view, our focus should remain on what is within. Our choices, our actions, our thoughts, and we should learn to loosen our grip on what lies beyond our control. For instance, you might fear not owning a car because you have tied it to your sense of identity and freedom. Yet when you step back and think rationally, you realize that a car is merely a tool for getting from one place to another, and there are other perfectly viable means of transportation such as buses, trains, or taxis. This distinction between what is truly necessary and what is simply desired is a central pillar of Stoic wisdom. A wealthy businessman may feel that life without a personal driver is impossible, just as a family may think they cannot manage without a nanny, but these are luxuries, not necessities. Recognizing them as such allows us to free ourselves from irrational fears tied to losing them. In today's world of relentless consumerism and the constant pressure to acquire more, we are bombarded with subtle messages that fuel our fierce fears of not having the newest smartphone, the most fashionable clothes, the most comfortable home, or the most glamorous lifestyle. Epictetus would urge us to step back and see these for what they are: irrational attachments to objects and images that have no bearing on our true worth or our capacity for happiness. Rational fears, in contrast, are those tied to our survival, such as the fear of lacking food, clean water, or shelter, fears that have accompanied human life for thousands of years. Many modern fears pale in comparison, and when we consciously choose to filter out these trivial, irrational anxieties, we reclaim a sense of calm and authority over our own lives. Epictetus also recommended that one of the most effective ways to dismantle fear is through the disciplined study of philosophy. For philosophy trains the mind to see life as it truly is, to separate what is worth our concern from what is not, and to distinguish between fears that are rational and those that are purely imagined. This process not only clarifies our thinking, but also strengthens our ability to face challenges directly. Some people overcome fears, such as a fear of heights, not because they wish to terrify themselves, but because they deliberately expose themselves to the source of the fear in order to understand it and diminish its power, like climbing a mountain. To realize that the fear, once confronted, loses its control. Epictetus would remind us of this simple but powerful truth: if fear were an ocean, you are not a fish destined to swim in it endlessly. You are a human being with the ability to step out of the water whenever you choose. By making sense of your fears, examining them rationally, and focusing only on what lies within your control, you can loosen their grip and begin to live with greater peace, clarity, and purpose. This is the essence of Stoic philosophy, timeless and potent remedy for the mental chains that hold us back. Life, with all its ups and downs, surprises, and inevitable hardships, will always present challenges, but as Epictetus taught, we must not fear poverty, exile, imprisonment, or even fear itself. Instead, we must fix our attention firmly on the things we can control, let go of emotional dependence on what we cannot, and live with the unshakable understanding that the quality of our lives is shaped not by what happens to us, but by how we choose to respond. This is the heart of the Stoic dichotomy of control, and it is the path to genuine freedom from fear. Like the actions of others or unforeseen events, life constantly throws situations our way that are entirely outside our sphere of influence. Yet, by choosing to focus only on what we can control, we liberate ourselves from unnecessary anxiety and mental distress. Epictetus taught that most of the fears we carry today are tied to things we cannot control at all. For instance, losing a job due to an economic downturn is beyond our power to prevent, yet what remains within our control is our response, whether we sink into despair or actively search for new opportunities. This ability to embrace life's trials is central to Stoic philosophy, and Epictetus himself lived it fully. When the Roman Emperor Domitian, irritated by the influence of Stoic thinkers, exiled Epictetus along with other philosophers, he did not waste his energy lamenting his fate. Instead, he calmly accepted the situation, moved to another city, and continued teaching with even greater conviction, demonstrating how refusing to let external events dictate our emotional state or lives. Purpose turns adversity into strength. Life's unpredictability is something every human must face, and the common saying "life is full of surprises" captures this truth. Some surprises will be welcome, others not, but we cannot control them all. The question is, should we live in constant fear and anxiety over what might happen? Absolutely not, for Epictetus advises us to empower ourselves by accepting or even embracing those events we wish had not occurred. This mindset is rooted in the Stoic idea of amor fati, the love of fate, which calls us to see all events, pleasant or painful, as necessary threads in the fabric of our journey. Imagine devoting months of effort to a project you believe in, only to watch it fail upon launch. The Stoic way is not to label yourself a failure, but to see the experience as a stepping stone. Just as countless great entrepreneurs endured repeated setbacks before achieving lasting success. When we meet unfortunate events beyond our control, we have two choices. We can face them with calm acceptance, or we can turn them into opportunities for growth. And only in doing the latter can we reach our highest potential. This approach is about resilience, the ability to transform hardship into fuel for advancement. Think of Thomas Edison, who famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His perspective perfectly embodies the Stoic principle of embracing life's trials, viewing every apparent failure as a vital part of the path to success. In daily life, embracing trials might mean facing difficult situations at work, enduring personal loss, or navigating relationship struggles. Rather than letting these experiences break us, we can choose to treat them as challenges that build our inner strength, sharpening our character and broadening our perspective. By focusing on what we can control, our mindset, our reactions, and the effort we give, we transform adversity into a tool for personal growth. True strength, as Stoicism teaches, comes from within, and embracing life's trials is how we develop it. Challenges then become stepping stones instead of barriers. This shift in perception allows us to remain steady and composed even in life's storms. Epictetus also warned that unremarkable lives are often marked by the fear of appearing incapable when attempting something new, meaning that many people remain stuck, not because they lack ability, but because they fear failure and judgment. His own life was proof of the opposite. Born into slavery, with the odds stacked heavily against him, he did not let his circumstances define him. When his master allowed him the opportunity to study philosophy, Epictetus embraced it wholeheartedly, not with the aim of becoming the greatest philosopher in history, but simply with a love for learning and a dedication to growth. His determination to pursue knowledge, even through hardship, is a testament to the power of self-belief. The lesson is clear: our circumstances do not determine our potential. Our mindset and willingness to push beyond limitations do. This is at the heart of Stoicism, directing our attention toward what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, our beliefs, rather than obsessing over what lies outside our influence. Epictetus faced immense challenges, yet persevered, eventually becoming a revered teacher whose wisdom still inspires. Believing in your ability to do wonders means recognizing that your true power lies within, even when the world gives you reasons to doubt. It is easy to be discouraged by the success of others or by the setbacks in our own path. But Stoicism urges us to measure progress not by comparison, but by becoming the best version of ourselves. Whether you are starting a new business, launching a creative project, or committing to a personal goal like running a marathon, it is natural to feel intimidated or question your abilities. Yet, by embracing the Stoic mindset, meeting challenges with courage, refusing to be ruled by fear, and focusing on your own effort, you unlock the resilience to move forward no matter what comes your way. You can shift your focus from the fear of failure to the potential for growth, seeing every setback as a learning opportunity and every small victory as a step toward achieving something greater, because it is about embracing the process itself and trusting in your ability to navigate the journey no matter how difficult it may seem. Stoicism teaches us that resilience is essential, for life will always be unpredictable, bringing with it failures and setbacks. Yet these moments do not define us, it is our response to them that shapes our character. Epictetus himself endured physical ailments and societal limitations, but he refused to let these circumstances dictate his worth or potential. Instead, he transformed adversity into fuel for his philosophical inquiries, turning obstacles into sources of strength. This same resilience is within reach for all of us, because by believing in our ability to rise above challenges, we can transform our lives and accomplish wonders. Consider the entrepreneurs who start small businesses in their garages and, after facing countless rejections and failures, grow them into global empires. What sets them apart is not an absence of hardship, but an unwavering belief in their vision and their ability to bring it to life. They do not allow setbacks to discourage them. Rather, they view each as a necessary step on the road to success. This belief in oneself is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy and a key to achieving greatness in any area of life, whether that means pursuing a passion others might not understand, taking risks that push you far beyond your comfort zone, or trusting that you have what it takes to succeed. It could be learning a new skill, starting a creative endeavor, or making a major life change. Believing in your ability to do wonders opens the door to a world of possibilities. This belief is about cultivating a mindset of growth and resilience, understanding that your true potential is determined not by external factors, but by your inner strength and determination. It is not merely about achieving outward success, but about becoming the best version of yourself and living a life of purpose and fulfillment. Because, as Epictetus teaches, the journey of self-belief and self-discovery is where true greatness lies, and if you embrace this lesson, you will discover you are capable of far more than you imagine. In a world dominated by social media, peer pressure, and societal expectations, it is easy to become overly concerned with the opinions of others, yet Epictetus offers a powerful antidote. Focus on your own integrity and release the need for external validation. He famously said, "If you are tempted to look for outside approval, realize that you have compromised your own integrity. If you need a witness, be your own, a profound reminder that seeking approval often leads us away from our authentic selves. When we constantly crave validation, we become prisoners of others' opinions, losing sight of our own values and goals. In Epictetus's time, the sophists were intellectuals who thrived on debating for admiration rather than insight, seeking applause rather than truth. But the Stoic path is different. It is about pursuing knowledge for its own sake, for personal growth, not for recognition. The fear of judgment can be paralyzing, preventing us from pursuing dreams, speaking honestly, or living authentically. We may avoid risks or new experiences simply to protect ourselves from criticism. Yet Epictetus reminds us that other people's opinions are beyond our control, and what lies within our control is our own actions, choices, and attitudes. By focusing on what we can control, we free ourselves from the heavy burden of judgment. If we let the fear of judgment dictate our lives, we hand over our power and become like actors in a play, constantly adjusting ourselves to please different audiences. But life is not a performance. Stoicism calls us to live guided by our own values, to have the courage to remain true to ourselves, even when it means going against the grain. History offers examples of those who embodied this courage. Socrates, Galileo, Martin Luther King Jr. all faced immense criticism and judgment for their beliefs and actions. Yet they stood firm in their convictions and, in doing so, changed the world. They understood that others' judgments were outside their control, and that sacrificing integrity for approval would be a far greater loss. In our own lives, this might mean standing up for our beliefs, even when unpopular, following a career path others fail to understand, or expressing our true selves despite societal norms. By refusing to fear judgment, we give ourselves the freedom to grow, explore, and live authentically. Epictetus also warns that the pursuit of approval can hinder our growth, for when we are obsessed with what others think, we avoid stepping out of our comfort zones to prevent failure or criticism. But growth comes through risks, mistakes, and challenges, and if we let the fear of judgment keep us still, we will forfeit countless opportunities to learn, evolve, and ultimately become the person we are meant to be. Stoicism urges us to welcome challenges and view them as opportunities for personal growth, regardless of what others might think or say. And an important element of this practice is self-compassion. While it is natural to care about the opinions of others, Stoicism encourages us to treat ourselves with kindness and to refuse to let outside judgments dictate our self-worth, choosing instead to be our own best witness, to acknowledge our own efforts and accomplishments, and to take pride in who we are. This confidence and self-acceptance form a core of Stoic philosophy, and it is worth remembering that judgment and criticism are inevitable parts of life, but what truly matters is how we respond to them. Epictetus teaches that we should meet such moments with indifference, staying focused on our own path without letting external opinions pull us away from our true course. By adopting this mindset, we can move through life with greater confidence and resilience, staying authentic, no matter the noise around us. Death, though often avoided in conversation, is an unavoidable part of existence, and Epictetus believed in confronting this fear directly, because doing so allows us to live with greater freedom and fullness. He famously said, "I cannot escape death, but at least I can escape the fear of it," a statement that captures the heart of Stoic wisdom. Death, being beyond our control, is simply part of the human condition. And what lies within our control is the way we perceive it and the influence we allow it to have on our lives. By shifting our mindset, we can lessen the fear and anxiety tied to it. Epictetus, having lived as a slave and suffered from poor health, was forced to face death's reality often. Yet he saw in accepting its inevitability a source of peace and a means of focusing on living with meaning, recognizing that fearing death only robs us of the energy we could spend on living well. Stoicism teaches that everything happens in our minds, and if we can change the way we see death, seeing it not as a dreadful end but as a natural part of life's cycle, we can live more fully and appreciate each moment without the constant shadow of fear. A practical way to embody this is by practicing memento mori, the reminder that we all must die, which is not morbid but instead a call to live each day with purpose and presence. Asking ourselves daily, if today were my last day, what would I do, can help us focus on what matters most. Epictetus also encouraged speaking about death openly, for in many cultures it is a taboo topic reserved for grief, but by normalizing such discussions, we make death less frightening and more understandable, treating it as one more life event to prepare for rather than dread. Stoics believe that reflecting on death actually enriches our appreciation of life, reminding us that our time is limited and inspiring us to direct our actions, attitudes, and legacy toward what is truly meaningful. While letting go of trivial concerns, accepting the unpredictability of death can also be freeing. Since we cannot know when or how it will come, we are empowered to live each day fully, pursue our goals, and deepen our connections rather than being immobilized by fear. Recognizing death as a universal experience faced by all people, regardless of status or wealth, fosters both humility and solidarity, connecting us to the greater cycle of life and death that has endured for millennia. Letting go of the fear of death can reduce anxiety, sharpen our awareness of the present, improve our relationships, and motivate us to leave a lasting, meaningful mark on the world. Epictetus's wisdom shows us that facing death with acceptance enables us to live richer, more fulfilling lives, to find peace in impermanence, and to turn that awareness into purposeful action. In embracing Stoic principles, we come to see that true freedom exists in the mind, and that by overcoming fear and living with intention, we can shape lives marked by resilience, tranquility, and deep fulfillment, reminding ourselves always to stay true to our own journey.